Good evening and welcome to the Star Chamber Show live podcast. It is episode number 432, and this is Stephen Zimmer broadcasting to you live out of Central Kentucky. It's a great evening here in Central Kentucky, and tonight I'm joined by the lovely, the loquacious, the vivacious Holly Phillippe. Holly, how are you doing tonight? I see you're on.
I am on just in time too.
You should be. At least I see your pretty face. There you are. There you-
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you well, loud and
Okay,
clear.
good deal.
And yes, and we're going to have a great show tonight. Definitely having a string of great shows lately. Of course, everything is done live on Podbean on Wednesday nights and Thursdays. Everything goes out to all the platforms that people love, like Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, iHeartRadio, all kinds of places. So, and thank you to all the new listeners lately. Yeah, we've definitely been getting a lot more feedback, and people have been really enjoying the shows, and I'm really, really happy about that. And definitely spreading the word also about the Imaginarium Convention, which is who this podcast is affiliated with. And I see that Sandy Lender has joined us in the chat room already. So yes, a little bit more from Sandy here in a second. And again, yeah, a great new novel from her, Silver Bells. Definitely check that out. Of course, we want to always keep you up to date on all the latest news when it comes to the Imaginarium Convention. So we will give you the latest updates. We had a great new announcement today, in fact, and then several other new ones over the past week. And so we're going to fill you in real quick on the latest additions. Of course, we are always adding new guests and panelists, and last week was no exception. We added author Adam Gaffin and author, editor, publisher, game designer W. Jade Young, both of whom will be coming to Imaginarium for the first time as panelists. Also attending for the first time as a panelist is author, podcaster, and professor Alex Zink. And then Imaginarium favorite, author Michael Houch, an award-winning author of mysteries and thrillers, who we know and love, and he's fantastic. And then we also announced some fantastic spotlighted guests, and some of these spotlighted guests, actually all three of them, are in our 2025 inaugural inductee class for the Imagination Hall of Fame. All three of them are, as it turns out. That wasn't planned; it's just the way it worked out on the announcement queue. But we also announced that award-winning best-selling author Virginia Smith is coming back as a spotlighted guest. She gave a great keynote speech last week. She is on fire lately, I tell you. She just had some new books come out, and she has
Got
a
a
brand.
movie coming.
Her book Guilty Secrets is been produced as a feature-length film that'll be airing in the fall of 2024. So keep an eye out for Guilty Secrets. Yeah, great news on that front. We also announced, of course, award-winning author, poet, filmmaker, and playwright Lee Pennington, Kentucky, a poet laureate. Yeah, named by the state as a poet laureate in the state of Kentucky. Guy is just unbelievable. I mean, he's just done a slew of documentary films. He's had over 1,300 poems published in over 300 magazines. He's authored over 23 books, 21 documentary films produced. And if that's not enough, he has the Lee and Joy Pennington Cultural Heritage Gallery, named after him and his late wife. Keeps all of his writings, films, and artifacts that he's collected from traveling around the world. That's at the University of Louisville. So yeah, just fascinating guy. And he like several people that we have, like Virginia is another one. Reason enough to come to Imaginarium. I mean, just these people are just unbelievably accomplished and talented. And then today, of course, the man himself, award-winning author, screenwriter, and publisher Tony Acree. Yes, Tony
Tony.
Acree of Hydra Publications. Great
Yes, indeed.
small press, several imprints. He's on the board of Louisville Literary Arts. We love those folks. And also, I mean, he's got just so many cool things in the works. Several projects in the film side of things too. Two streaming shows coming. One based on his Victor McCain thrillers, and the other on his Samantha Tyler thrillers. Both by Dark Harbor Pictures, and also take note, Songs of Bloody Harlan has been optioned for the silver screen by 1209 Productions. And Songs of Bloody Harlan is a film that I believe that's the one that is about Lee Pennington, as a matter of
Lee
fact.
Pennington. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It's his life
his,
story, and
his
which
life
is
story.
fascinating. The man has lived 1,000 lives. I mean, He
It's
has
true.
actually played music with the Eagles, and a lot of other. I can't even remember all the bands, but I remember the Eagles was one of them. But yeah, he's went out and been poet laureate for Kentucky, and I mean he's just a fascinating guy. He's an archaeologist. He does a lot of studies into archaeology and ancient
Oh yeah.
ruins and stuff. I mean, it's just unreal what all he does.
Yeah, he is just amazing, and yeah, we have a great announcement coming tomorrow, as a matter of fact, and it's on some of the topics we're talking on tonight. It's a great guest in that area, and so we'll give you the scoop. We'll go ahead and give you the scoop. We're going to be announcing Arlen Andrews coming back. Yeah,
Yeah,
the one that's been
the
on Ancient
ancient
Alien, and
alien star
yeah, very
himself. Yeah,
known for his futurism exploits, and yeah, and he's with the Sigma think tank up in DC, and yeah, does a lot of cool stuff. I mean, just guy's just amazing. But we'll go ahead and talk about him next week too, of course. But we wanted to give you that little tidbit. So yeah, give you a little scoop as far as who is going to be announced tomorrow. So that's a little news on that front. And I don't know, Holly's been busy with some things, so I don't know. Holly, do you have any updates before we proceed?
not
No.
that I'm ready to share, but I
Okay.
am up to some things.
Well, I know you're always up to some things. Absolutely. And good news, folks. Yeah, on personal side, Holly is coming home next week. Thank God. Yes, finally returning to Kentucky, and we are very happy about
Finally.
that. So she's under orders, and I mean orders to take a staycation. So she'll be doing a very light schedule for a
Yeah,
couple of weeks.
right. Whatever.
Well, you're going to go to movies. You're going to rest. You're going to read books. You're going to
Uh-huh,
relax,
uh-huh, uh-huh.
and I've been very Spartan lately too, so I'm going to make sure I am accompanying you to a couple movies and maybe sushi and other things. So yeah, you're going to enjoy things for a couple weeks, but I will do a full workload, of course. But yeah, you're going to take it light here. You're going to relax after your 2 month ordeal exile in Indiana.
Oh,
So
it's been rough.
yeah, but we're glad to have you back and looking forward to that. And yes, it's going to be, yeah, like I said, just a couple minutes here. We're going to be bringing our guests on. But as always, yeah, we're going to get to the folks that brought you tonight's show. And then give you one more little scoop. Yeah, tomorrow looks well. No, it looks like Friday. Look out Friday on my channels. I'm going to have a surprise new book announcement with a new cover reveal, and I'm getting that out just in time for my fall appearances. So yeah, hope me all be able to join me. I'll be spotlighting each of those coming up on October 26th, November 2nd, November 9th, and November 16th. Yeah, all around the state of Kentucky, and finally getting out to do several events, and really looking forward to it. And I bumped something up to add something extra for the folks that come out and see me, a brand new release. It's going to make it just in time. It's a novella release, and I think you're going to love it. The cover art, I love the cover art. Just had to make one adjustment to some of the lettering, and it's going to be ready. So I'll keep you all posted on that. And so, yeah, without further ado, I will give you the recognition of tonight's folks that brought you the show. And they are Sandy Lender, the one and only genre blender herself. And then also the fine folks at Per Bastet Publications. So I'll give you a little bit tonight from Per Bastet first, and then we'll give you something from Sandy that's giving a little spotlight to that Silver Bells novel that I told you about earlier. Per Bastet Publications is a small press based in the Louisville metro area, specializing in speculative fiction and other outside the box books. With 40 titles in print and ebook formats and a handful of audiobooks, Per Bastet offers a little bit of everything. Check out Frenemies in Space, Marian Allen's new science fiction short story collection featuring return character Smartmouth Connie Phelan. Or try Michael Dabney's latest David Blaze mystery, A Deadly Game, a prequel set in 1984 Philly. You can find these titles and more at perbastetpublications.com, at Amazon, or you can find the press in person at Kentucky and Indiana book fairs and conventions. Per Bastet Publications, where timeless tales unfold. Shout out to the literary trifecta of Teely Harris, Marian Allen, and Sarah Marian. They are awesome. And so now we'll give you a little bit from the wonderful Sandy Lender, and this one is a new little bit about Silver Bells. Here we go.
What happens if you schedule a Krampus movie on the Hallmark Channel? You get Silver Bells from Sandy Lender. The reviews are coming in for this new holiday horror, and readers are loving the mature female lead and the spooky Christmas setting. BestThrillers.com gave Silver Bells a highly recommended rating, saying, "Through striking visuals, Reindeer Creek reads like a mashup of Washington Irving's haunted forests in The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, the greed-induced decay of Pottersville in It's a Wonderful Life, and the glitzy electric spectacle of The Great Christmas Light Fight." Grab your copy of Silver Bells by Sandy Lender today.
And thank you, Sandy. You were awesome. And folks, yeah, I did. I gave a blurb to Sandy as well, and I do want to emphasize that, yeah, if you don't normally read horror, you really should pick this up if you are a fan of mysteries, thrillers, and things of that nature. I mean, it really does have a lot of great mystery, thriller, suspense elements in it, and I think it appeals to a range of readers. It goes beyond just horror genre readers. So check it out, pick it up, and tell Sandy you heard about it on the Star Chamber show. So now we're going to get here. We're going to get active here with our awesome guest for tonight, and I am really excited about tonight because the topics we're going to be talking about are up my alley for sure, as Holly was telling me earlier, and as this week when we were looking
Yes.
forward to the show and planning it. But tonight's guest is joining us for the very first time, and he is an author and tech expert. Tech expert. Sorry about that, folks. And and he is the author of a brand new book that just came out this week, Journey to 2125, One Century, One Family, Rising to Challenges. And it's a brand new hard science speculative fiction novel. And so it is my honor and pleasure to bring on to the Star Chamber show for the very first time, Gary Bengier.
Hey,
Yay, Gary.
hey,
Hey,
thanks.
Gary.
I'm really glad to join you, Stephen and Holly. It's wonderful to be here for the first time.
Great
Glad
to
to
have
have you.
you. And hopefully the first time of many to come. And
That's right.
yes, this is the right show for you. Yeah, this is a show about writing, about creatives, about tech topics, and if we love futurism, I mean it's right up my alley. I've
Yes.
always loved futurism, and in my nonfiction reading, I'm always reading about it. So yeah, when Holly was telling me about you, I was like, yes,
Yeah,
I was
I
like,
was like, I told Stephen, I said, you're going to love this guest that I've got
yes,
aboard.
Well, the timing is just perfect for my book on so many levels. So, and
Right.
you're right. It was just released on Monday, and everything so far has been going fabulously well. I've just gotten such great reviews right out of the box. In fact, I have over 300 people who are reviewing it on NetGalley at the moment, and
Nice.
I mean, I've got just on Amazon already. There's two of them that popped up. What a whirlwind of a book by Emma. This is 5 star. And then we've got this is book by Langley. This book is unlike anything I've read lately. It's a mix of a genre, but also a fictional kind of how a family history could be in the next century. And so, people are capturing it. It's what I really like about these reviews that I'm getting is that it's not sci-fi. It's not just in a box. It's what
Right.
I'm. I describe it as parts family saga, parts political drama, and parts hard science speculative fiction. So, but it's off to a great start.
Cross
yeah, it
genres.
sounds.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah. Yeah, cross genre fiction is really gaining traction, I think, in the last few years, and people are really interested in things that do cross different lines like that. I was just mentioning Sandy's book earlier about she has that kind of thing in hers. But this definitely is like you said, a brand new release, and I love the cover work. By the way, we always appreciate good cover work, as we are publishers ourselves. So yeah, kudos to the publisher on
Oh,
that.
well, that's great. Yeah, in fact, I've had a great team. This is my third book with this team. One of them, deep philosophical stuff, and the last two have been novels. My first novel, Unfettered Journey, released in 2020. And again, the same cover designer, Siani, out of Copenhagen, and my layout designer, Ines, out of Switzerland and Portugal. So it's been fabulous.
Nice.
They do a nice job on this stuff. Yeah. But
See,
thanks for
we
mentioning. Yeah.
encourage people to look outside of the box because a lot of these international creatives are just phenomenal, and they don't get the opportunities like the ones
Sometimes,
here
yeah.
do. And so it's great to look outside the box and, see who's doing what out there. We have a phenomenal Ingar, and he's from what? Am I right, Stephen?
Indonesia,
Indonesia.
Indonesia. Yeah, we work with
Yes,
somebody from Indonesia,
yes,
and then we work with
phenomenal artist,
another cover
phenomenal.
artist to work with from Ukraine, and
Yeah,
still,
Oh
yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. My illustrator Veronica is from the Ukraine, and I was just checking on
yeah,
her, making sure she was okay. She said,
right.
"Hey, we got a good air defense here in Dnipro, and the but her husband is
Well,
there,
that's good.
fighting." So yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
No, my first book, though, Unfettered Journey, it's actually out in 8 languages,
nice.
and 14 book awards, so it's done quite nicely. And of course, with 8 languages, I was working with translators around the world. So yeah, and both books are sort of global in their outlook, so that's great. So yeah, very useful to do that.
Fantastic.
now
So,
you have a
so
back.
who were
Oh,
some of your influences going into this? I mean, what piqued your curiosity and thought process to, hey, I'm going to write one of these, and I'm going to mix this and this and this.
Okay, so let me give you a slightly longer backstory on that. So,
Go ahead.
and that's to describe the 2 books that I have: Unfettered Journey first, that happened in 2020, and then this one right out now. This is actually the prequel to that, and so Journey to 2125 is the prequel. And so, how did I do this? Well, my background, just quickly, is I did 25 years in tech, and I was fortunate enough in Silicon Valley to put my toe
Right.
in all kinds of stuff, from bioscience for half a dozen years to
Ooh,
electronic design automation, that's chip design for 4 years. I was doing computer peripherals. I was doing high tech windmills and
wow.
streaming video over the internet. We sold the I was CFO of a company. We sold it to Microsoft, and that became Media Player, which is one of the leading
Very cool.
leading things for streaming video over the internet. And then eBay,
Yes.
and then eBay. I was CFO at eBay and took them public in 1998, and I had a long career in Silicon Valley and got to touch lots of these technologies. So I think I understand a little bit more about how they might fit together and how they might evolve. So
Yes.
that's the tech background.
yeah,
Wow.
and then reading about you, also you have a background in philosophy, from what I see as well. So that's another thing that you're bringing into the mix, and
Yeah,
yeah, and that's
yeah,
so look, talk a little bit about that side and that background,
yeah.
and
Okay,
how that
and that
fuses in with the other.
Yeah, and that leads to that first book, Unfettered Journey, that came out 24 years ago. So after I was 25 years in tech, I sort of decided to go, do other things, and I retired technically. I went back to school, and actually I backfilled an astrophysics degree, 4 years. Sitting there with the 20-something-year-olds, and doing the milk and oil drop test in all the labs, and then after I did that for 4 years, I started taking some philosophy classes. So I backfilled a philosophy class, an undergraduate. And then I got a master's in philosophy of mind, and I
Oh,
was
wow.
thinking a lot about consciousness, and what is that I that's at the center of all of us. And there's some fairly interesting, deep thoughts and thinking going on in the philosophical world, but it's kind of, it's no one hears about this stuff. They have an audience of 20 or something, and so I decided. And there's something called the hard problem of consciousness. David Chalmers coined that term, and no one knows what it is. And so I wanted to get some of these ideas out into the general, in the general population, so people could think about them. So I decided to write a novel to talk about those ideas of consciousness. And guess what? One of the things that's interesting is, can robots become conscious? Everyone was talking about that. So
Uh-huh.
so I decided to place my novel in the far future, in 2161, which is 130 some years in the future now. And so, that explores philosophical ideas of consciousness. Can there be consciousness in robots, among other things? and it's done in the form of a story with some very strong characters, and particularly I'm so pleased with my kick-ass woman lead protagonist. So check it out. She's
Stephen
awesome.
loves those.
Yeah.
Oh, she's awesome.
So,
So that was the first book, um, and so it's that's how I got into writing speculative fiction, and as I said, hard science. So what I decided at the time is that at some point, it's highly likely that robots will walk around among us, right? It's like we've been predicting this for 100 years, but it's still not here, and it's going to take.
Right.
It's hard to do, really.
It
It's
is.
really hard.
It is.
But I think it will eventually happen. So I said, okay, far enough out there, 135, 140 years. Yeah, it's going to happen. Then what happens? So that's that book. So I thought I was finished. I thought I would write one book. And then some of the fans said, "That's very interesting." I think She's Single magazine said that was an eerily authentic world that I had created. And some of the fans said, "Well, how do we get there? In other words, how do we get to that state of the world?" And so that was one reason that I was kind of prodded to do something. And well, how did we get to 2161? And that happened. What happened before? So the other impetus for me was that some events were happening and some people were writing other things, and it got me really annoyed. I'm going, these are bad ideas, and people are thinking that they're right. And so I decided, well, I think I have a better idea what's likely to happen than these folks. And so I started to write that down, and then I really started letting the characters talk, and my characters started talking to me for a year and a half, and they kind of evolved their own story. And so
To do that.
here they are. So here's the book. It's called Journey to 2125. The subtitle is One Century, One Family, Rising to Challenges. And so it's 1 century from 2025 next year to 2125. Why is that? Because the main character is a guy named Max MacGyver. He's 100 years old in the year 2125. And this is the story of his family and their family. And the story starts with a long separated grandson shows up on Max's doorstep in 2125. And the grandson wants to know, why did his parents run off to the commune? And so the story takes place over a single day. And Max proceeds to tell his grandson the family secrets. And he's trying to decide, what does he tell him, what does he not? And so in the consequence of a single day telling the stories, and then essentially the book goes back and you get to see the same story from the family members from their own point of view as it moves over 3 generations, starting in 2033 in that generation, and then you get to see each character talking. So we have a family story that is about a family that as Max says to his grandson, is more than a footnote. And then the story is, you've got a young boy who flees from a war in Asia. You have a young woman who is dealing with the tragedy of climate change in Africa. And you have some family members that are building robot companies and AI companies, and there are other members of the family who are dealing with some of the implications of that in not a good way. And so you have some members who were worrying about privacy and how can we make sure that all of this technology does not, take away all our privacy, and some worry about saving democracy, actually, as some nefarious
I would say
characters
that's
could
what I
use
was
it.
going to ask you. Do you still have democracy, or is it a one world order already?
Well, let me tell you, I wrote the scenes over a year ago, and
Aha.
let me just say there was a scene that what was it, about a month ago, when a certain person got shot at. I kind of thought, oh my God, is this a
Yeah.
bad time to release this book? But they went, no, it's okay. It's going to go out. So, but it was ripped from the headlines.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then of course, since when I wrote the first book 4 years ago, we had certain ideas about AI, and
Right.
then 2 years ago almost, we had the Chat GPT moment when suddenly in
Uh-huh.
November 2022, we suddenly see this dramatic increase in what these things can do, and
Mhm.
It's going so fast.
yeah. So, so how fast will that go? What will it do to
Well,
all of
that's
our
it.
jobs, right? Can we? Oh, and then let's not leave out bioscience and the information economy and the informational commons that we all share. So there are a lot of challenges that I think that everyone faces this century, and that's what this book explores.
That is awesome. I mean, those are all topics that I certainly think about a lot myself, and
Yes,
certainly, I
Stephen
mean, the
writes about too. So yeah, that he loves
topic of
this.
topic of AI is, I mean, red hot right now. You couldn't have pick a better time
Yeah.
to release the book,
Yeah.
and I mean, just in our world of being creatives. I mean, we see the impact very prominently just in the past couple of years with what it can do in the world of filmmaking, what it can do in the world of writing, what it can do. I mean, all kinds of art. Cover
Yes.
artists are concerned about it. Filmmakers are
Well,
concerned
it's
about it.
stealing. It's literally they have to steal information.
Well, right now,
The
yeah, to
AI has to steal
train.
information to create. And
Yeah.
now a big deal is people are leaving LinkedIn because I haven't really read into all that. I don't know, Gary, if you have. I'm sure you have. But they're saying that LinkedIn is using like all of our info, all of our things to feed its AI.
Oh, well, when I wrote the first book, Unfettered Journey, 4 years ago, there's a hacker in it, as research, I went to the Black Hat conference in Las Vegas, which, by the way, you can't pay with a credit card; you got to pay with cash. Because and I went around with a tag that says,
Nice.
that said writer, right? And then I'd go, "Are you a black hat? You a black hat?" Which was really fun. And then some of the guy goes, "Yeah, I'm a black hat." So I said, "Tell me how this works," and then I used that to inform the scene, so it was really authentic. This is what these guys really do. So anyway, yes, so I
Yeah.
learned at the Black Hat hacker conference how much of our data is being used and how deviously it's being used by certain companies, and it's good that there are folks that are out there trying to protect our privacy, but yeah, it's a big fight. So, and that is absolutely a topic in this book. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yes,
mean,
because it is.
Lionsgate
But
just announced recently that they are
yes.
taking their entire film catalog to train their AI. They're gonna use their entire.
So
I
they
mean, that's
can
an expensive
completely
one.
get rid of most of their art department,
Just a,
basically.
well, it could lead to that. Yeah, it
Yeah,
certainly
Yeah.
well,
could.
yeah, that's a
Yeah.
problem. I mean, I was at a conference at Santa Fe Institute. I'm on the board of that, which is complexity research. And what's the gentleman who's Interstellar? He's in the film. He and his brother. The name escapes me. So he was there speaking, and that's just what was it, last year when they were signing the new SAG agreement. The new after
Yeah.
the strike,
Hmm.
Yep.
and in that agreement, apparently there's this. The union kind of thought they won that you're precluded from using AI in certain things, and he said, well, what it means is you can't use it directly, but some person could use it in their work. So what happens is one guy will use it, and then you get rid of all the assistance that he needed before. So he says, yeah, the contract didn't really help protect those jobs from the AI. So
Yeah, I mean, and it's even affected the writing world. I mean, it's been a big controversy with a big NaNoWriMo program that happens every November. But I know a lot of people are backing away from that because
Yeah, man,
they
I was
they
done. Yeah.
because of an AI issue with them. I haven't gotten all the details about it, but as they're accepting things, I guess, that were partially written by AI, something along those lines.
Oh, well, on the Amazon KDP platform today, when you upload something,
Mhm.
there's a box you check that says, "I did not use any AI in this."
Yep.
And they'll
Uh-huh.
let you go for it. And
Mhm.
I think that's a great thing. I mean, I felt very comfortable. I had used zero AI. Maybe I'll be one of the last books written that used no AI whatsoever. I don't
I'll be with you. I'll be right with you. Don't worry. No
know.
AI here either. So
Yeah,
yeah,
but
definitely.
you're right. Right, and one of the big questions is what happens with AI and this first wave now. How many jobs will go away? And so, I'm actually taking a risk in the sense that I'm writing it now because there's lots of guessing about this, and it's
Mhm.
easy to be wrong. But part of that was I was reading some of these other futurists whose names I will not mention now, and I was very annoyed because they just get this. There's two things about the future in terms of futurism. One is, in my view, um, there's either we're from Silicon Valley, we've got all this great tech, trust us, it's all going to be fine.
Mm.
And then the other side is, oh my God, it's a dystopian world, we're all going to die. And so there's the two extremes.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's definitely how it's implemented and how it's used. I mean, I definitely can see a lot of things. I mean, currently being affected in ways. I mean, they even talked about some things with the dock strike, for instance, because I guess in China
Uh-huh.
they're using automated, a lot more automation, a lot more
Mm.
smart robots and robotic type things, on the docks there, replacing quite a few dock workers. And they were talking about that threat with this current dock strike that's going on the East Coast. And I mean, yeah, you can definitely see the discussions everywhere right now with how tech is going to get into things and AI and automation and
Yeah. So
robotics
so
and
so my first book, Unfettered Journey, that takes place in 2161. One of the central themes there is that as the robots are walking around among us, at some point they'll be taking most of the jobs, and then how do we find meaning and purpose in our lives if we don't have effective work, etc. And how does that work? So that's a major theme besides consciousness in that book.
Mhm.
Now, in this book, this is in some sense harder because it's hard to predict what happens soon in the
Mhm.
timing. But I'm putting a stake in the ground to say, here's what I think will happen in terms of
Mhm.
this will happen at this point, and this will happen at this point, and I'm doing it, as I said, in the form of story of how does it affect real people, so you can actually relate to that. And so that's Journey to 2125. Yeah.
Well, you certainly, I mean, don't have to, like I said, be, I mean, exact on some of the technical, predictions to, and overall, you could have like something that really does ring true decades later. Like I'll use Aldous Huxley with Brave New World, and then of course you read his essay Brave New World Revisited, which he wrote, a couple decades later. Look back on his predictions from the book and how they were then, and it was startling how many things were actually starting to even unfold then.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, but if you look at that stuff today, I mean, it's even more relevant. And so, I mean, what I'm saying is, yeah, even if there's a date or two wrong here or there, I mean, you might you might find yourself being in that ballpark of yeah, being very very accurate. So I'm
Well,
definitely going to
yeah.
devour this book when I get my hands on it.
Well,
I know I will.
I'm trying to do that. So, as an example of the kind of research I did, I've been to TED quite a number of times. I skipped a bunch of years, but I came back for my 14th TED this past April, and because I was really it's just sort of really interrogating a lot of people who are deep into a lot of the tech. And when does our next generation of personal communication roll out, and what does it look like? We all went from pre 2007. We had a way of
Mhm.
communicating. Then the iPhone came out and everything changed, and now everyone carries around their phones. Well, what will replace that, and when, and how does that roll out? So I make a prediction actually because I have characters who are using whatever the technology is, and in fact, I got a very extensive glossary at the end. Which, by the way, if you get the ebook, the first occurrence of the technology is hyperlinked to the glossary and then back. So it's very easy to click on it, see what that is, and then click back to where you were so you wouldn't lose your place. And yeah, and so that's part of my world building is I really do have some very precise predictions on how technologies will roll out and which ones won't, which ones I'm very doubtful are that some folks are touting, and I have some of my doubts. So yeah, all of that is in the book as a very strong prediction. There's something called foresight. I don't know if either of you have heard of foresight. It's it's sort of futurism that's sort of there are a lot of academics in it, people who actually advise Fortune 500 companies and governments on what do they worry about. And so it's the point about
Right.
foresight as a discipline is that it's rigorous, it's methodical, it has metrics, and they measure themselves against what they said they would. So as opposed to making lots of predictions and everyone forgets what you said, even if they're all wrong, they still think you're a great futurist. That's not what this discipline attempts to do. So I'm trying to follow in that as an approach.
Yeah. That is awesome. And I, like I said, what I like about this journey to 2125, the book, as I'm seeing unfold, is that you do have this looking into futurism, tech aspects, things like that. But I can see that you also have a great focus on characters, and you're looking at it through the eyes of people that are in the midst of this, and Max MacGyver, which I wondered. The name, I just have to ask you.
Yes. Yeah. Me too.
Is that
I know
is
what
that
you're
an homage?
thinking.
Is that an homage, possibly?
Well, okay, that's a great question. So let me tell you what the epigraph of the book is. I think this is important because I told you, I preface it by saying, a lot of people either think, oh, it's going to be great, or then it's a dystopian, and especially the dystopian. There's a lot of folks that are, 20 something, 30 something, and they go, do I have to worry, right? Should I have children, right? I mean, those kinds of things, because how uncertain is this? And so here's what the epigraph of my book says. Of the many challenges ahead this century, a few matter. Focus on and overcome those few, and yours, and the world will survive and perhaps even thrive. So one of
Right.
the big things I have is, there are lots of things to worry about, but here are what I think are the top ones to focus on. These are the really big problems. These are the strategic ones, the existential ones. We get these ones right, it's going to kind of turn out okay, I think. We'll muddle along. Humankind tends to do that, but and so the book is actually showing real people grappling with what things will really happen. So it's not just tech. It's about the social implications. It's the political implications. How does this all happen? And how does it affect real people? How will they feel about this? And how will they react to it? So, I've got some really great characters. And in fact, the early reviews, it's, as I said, I think the reviews, if I could summarize the bunch of them I've seen already, and I would say there's 3/4 of the reviewers are women, just to tell you. But it's the family fiction. It's about people, and it's about characters, and I think the reviews suggest people see them as authentic people.
And what got you to zero in, especially on the relationship of a young boy and a grandfather? Is that something a particular relationship that's personal to you in your own life, or what caused you to put that kind of at the center of this?
Oh, well,
Just that particular relationship, because I think that's interesting.
well, a couple things. I thought it gave me a nice thematic way of telling a story over a whole century. And so because then you've got a person looking back over this. I mean, my main character was not born until next year, so it's a long time. but and so and then the other thing I'll say is this is a prequel to Unfettered Journeys. So as I said, some of my fans wanted to know what happened before. Well, you can't write a prequel unless it kind of ties together. So that was actually one of my really difficult writerly challenges, and one that was tremendously fun because I never planned to write anything before. That was the one book, but now how do you write a prequel when you didn't plan to it, and when? And it's this giant puzzle. So the reason I'll mention that particular is that what you can then do, which is really so much fun, is you can hide Easter eggs in both books that point to the other one.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are a ton of Easter eggs that are hidden in either way that you read the book. If you read Unfettered Journey first and then read Journey to 2125, you'll discover Easter eggs and vice versa. So that was a lot of fun. And so that informed that structure too.
Well, you have now tackled a prequel that you didn't originally think you were going to write. So I think the obvious question is, can we look forward to sequels as well? Are you going to do some of that in the future?
I'm really doubtful I'll do that, because there's, I don't know, some people think that there's something special about trilogies and the 7 in the series, and um, Isaac Asimov's, his the couple of robot novels, Caves of Steel and Naked Sun. There were 2. Okay, so
Yes.
there's no rule that you need 3 or more.
No, not at all. I just finished a duology, so I'm fond of 2-book series. Yeah.
Oh, you did too. Okay, well then I'll follow your footsteps.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Duologies are just as valid. Absolutely.
Yeah. And these 2, and I think these 2 they have a nice closure to the 2 of them, how they now work together. So that was just very satisfying from a artistic point of view to do that. So yeah.
I do have a question now. Is with your background being what it is in philosophy and all the things you have done, how did you tie in all of that into the narrative of the story?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I would say, there's a couple levels of what I did. I mean, there's the tech stuff, and then there's the philosophy stuff.
Right.
The philosophy of mind stuff, as I said, I thought was really important, as people, 4, 5, 6 years ago were talking about, conscious robots and stuff. And quite honestly, they don't understand the hard problem of consciousness, how hard it is to solve that. And by the way, I started out, my undergraduate degrees were in computer science and decision theory. So I coded. I know code. I wrote code for several years, and so I have a deep understanding, I think, of how some of this code is written. And also, I'll mention another person. Melanie Mitchell is a professor at the Santa Fe Institute, and she spent 35 plus years in the AI as their field. And
Oh, wow.
she is one of those folks, and I collaborate with her in terms of having conversations about this. Within this spectrum of people in AI, she is more of a doubter, because she's seen, I think in her career, 2 or 3 AI winters where everyone hyped it up and then it didn't pay off, and then it was a disappointment. And so, what are the limits of this stuff? And so, if you get into the mathematics, you can see some real limits, and there's a big question of whether we'll have another AI winter in the next 10 or 15 years for sure. So there's that. So back to your question about consciousness, though. So I think that's very hard. So my first book, Unfettered Journey, really explored that a lot, and that's how. And that book's a little bit philosophical. It's maybe I'd say it's a little bit more intellectual for many of my audience. It makes the audience smaller.
You've got Stephen. Stephen will be getting a copy. You are right up his alley.
Okay. And Journey to 2125 is even more character driven, and because I'm dealing with the tech and how it will roll out, and so that is a different challenge, and that used my background in a different way, because I've seen tech take a long time sometimes. It's the reality is okay. Here's a person, Brooks, who invented the Rumba, right? He's an MIT professor. That thing. Okay, so I was at a conference with him at the Santa Fe Institute on a workshop, actually, on it was called AI and the Barrier to Meaning. This was several years ago. It was actually a couple of years before my first book. So and he and I were chatting. He said, okay, it's just a little robot vacuum cleaner. It took 10 years. a long time. It's hard to get this stuff to work. So
But
That one
isn't it
certainly paid
hard
off.
today, though? See,
That
the
one paid
thing is,
off. That one paid off good though.
it paid off well. But let me tell you, I watched because I've had a Roomba for a decade. Okay, I've had them about since they come out. But now you're looking at Roombas that, in that length of time, you're looking at Roombas now that you could control with your phone, that has a camera on them. That I mean, it's crazy how quick that has progressed. So
yeah.
how far do you actually think in that current rate we're going that we're going to reach the dynamic that's actually in your story?
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's just such a hard question. So Hemingway once was quoted. He was talking about bankruptcy, and he said it happens slowly, and then it happens quickly.
Uh,
So,
yeah,
and,
that's
and,
right.
and that's how some of the tech I think hits us is that it's kind of working on, and then suddenly it surrounds us, and the world kind of changes in a dramatic way. Maybe you with now not having to clean the carpet, right?
Right, right.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
So I mean,
Roomba
wait.
was
I mean, here's an example.
great.
Here's a great example. Okay. Self-driving trucks on the
Uh-huh.
highways. There
Oh,
are 3.7 million trucking jobs in the United States. Okay.
uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Um, I'm going to ask both of you, each individually, and you make a prediction here. What decade do you think it will be in the United States when, let me say, 80 to 90% or more of those long haul trucking jobs are done by self driving trucks? This is the long haul part. This is the city. This is not within the cities.
We're talking about the long haul semi drivers.
Yeah,
When
those
are they
guys.
going to be replaced? Well, we already have vehicles. We have Teslas, but let me tell you, there's a lot of flaws there, and they're having to work on a lot of that. It's not perfected yet. I believe by probably the middle of the 30s, 2030s, that'll be perfect. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say about by 2065, 70. So
Okay.
about that decade, I think most of it will be gone.
Okay. And how about you, Stephen?
I see things, I see like she was saying, the Roomba things, kind of progress once you get a basic concept. It starts progressing fast, and certainly they have demonstrated, they've had some rather bad accidents that have occurred with the Teslas, but they
Mhm.
have
Mm-hmm.
demonstrated the technology is there, and it's a matter of
Right.
training and tweaking it. So
Tweaking.
I'm going to go a little earlier. I'm going to say about 2050. I'm going to say
Okay,
about
Ah,
20.
okay, well, okay. Well,
hey.
now you see the game and how this plays out. Okay. So in Journey to 2125, that has occurred by 2050. Okay, and here's the caveats about this. First, how has it tech? I live here in San Francisco. Literally a week ago, I'm driving in 2 blocks and I see 4 self-driving Waymos, and they're beside me and coming the other direction and turning in front of me, and I'm actually feeling okay because I've ridden a few of them and I'm feeling okay. The first time you sit in the backseat of one of those things and there's a ghost in the front seat, you're going, oh my God, I'm going to die. But then you get used to it and it's okay. So yes, it's happening in the cities, and it's happening faster than most people in the country realize.
Mhm.
Okay, but and by the way, why did I say long haul? Because the trucking industry, there's some forecasts and people study this because they're worried. Their guess is that they will replace the long haul trucking first, and then the truck will drive into, say, the truck stop at the end outside of the town, and then a human driver will get in and drive the last mile because cities are hard and it's crowded and it's very complicated.
Mhm.
And so,
Uh-huh.
but so in that scenario, what happened? Well, and these trucks will go faster than anything else because trucks cost $500,000 or something. If you put $100,000 worth of equipment on it to make it self-drive, but you saved a driver, you know, then it almost pays back in a year plus, right? So
Yeah,
the
they
math
make a
works
lot
out
of
for
money.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So what happens in my book? Well, I've got a scene where, but it was slower than most people thought, because some people are thinking, 2030s, 40s or something. And I get a scene that says, yeah, but, there were those accidents with school buses.
Right.
And the character goes,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
someone died, and yeah, and of course, all you need is a few of those, and then the social
Uh-huh.
dynamic kicks in, and the
Mhm.
legal dynamic, and we could be set back a while. I mean, the one accident in San Francisco with a certain car that I
Yeah.
think the award just came out at $1.5 million penalty for that. And then there's
Wow.
that was just the penalty for the company without you're getting into what is paid to the victim and the woman who was seriously injured. And they have dramatically cut that company. I'll leave it nameless at this point. They have dramatically cut back their efforts, and I'll bet it cost them a handful of years in terms of the
Mhm.
rollouts. Just
And
that
see
one
the
accident.
danger. The people don't realize, and I'm not. I haven't read the book in total yet. So, but what people don't realize is we will be enslaved to AI, because if it's taking all of the jobs and replacing humans, well, I mean, somebody's got to pay the humans to do something. So there you go with the monthly allowance, and there you go
Oh,
with the,
okay, Holly. Now you're into the social and the political, and that's exactly
yes, there you go.
that's one of the
UBI, yeah,
challenges.
you
Yeah,
like UBI and all that. Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, exactly. How do we transition our whole economic system to something else? And what is the something else when
Yes.
jobs
Mhm.
disappear? So that is a central challenge in the book. So yeah, you guys are all on it. Okay, so you
Oh yeah.
get it. You
Oh yeah.
get it.
We get it. We get it. Yes,
We get it.
indeed.
Yeah. So to summarize, the challenges are everything from nuclear war, right? That's
Mhm.
existential.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Mhm.
uh, Climate change, right?
Mhm.
AIs and robotics, robots taking our jobs. How
Right.
does that play off against democracy and
Yep.
privacy? And what about bioscience? We haven't talked about that, but that's, as I said, I spent a half a dozen years in bioscience, and
It's
I've got
fascinating.
I've got some very cool parts of the book that deal with that too. So anyway, the book has got a lot of this stuff in it, and I think it, um, through characters, it really explores this in, I think, a more realistic hard science way than
Mhm.
other folks have done. So anyway,
Right.
that's the book.
Because you bring in your knowledge that you've acquired over all these years in the background, that you've obtained. You you have quite a bit of knowledge to share. So it's really cool how you've weaved it into all this. But yeah, as far as like, do you have like any 3D printing in there, like the 3D printing of meat? That's bringing in the bioscience. They've got fake meat now.
we've
And
got we've
3D
got
printing.
Yeah,
And
we got
3D
well, we've
printing.
got we've got
Yeah.
alternative meats, alt foods, because
Yeah.
we
Yes.
also have 3D printing. You got to print a
Mhm.
part in the field, and boop, it's done, and
Yep.
things get solved faster. So let me just leave you with one other idea that's here. Is that I read the epigraph about solving those challenges, and one of my biggest things, my biggest message is we have a certain number of problems that are really important that we focus on. And if we solve those ones, we just got to get that done. We can't just talk about it. We can't just mess around. As one of my characters very colorfully says, which I can't repeat on this show at this moment, but read that scene. You'll love Buzz, the very practical big bear of a guy engineer, and you just got to get the job done. And if we
Mhm.
do that, I think we'll be in pretty good shape. So anyway, it's not this is not dystopian. This is I think on balance an optimistic view, but
It
it
sounds
does
like it.
point out we
Yeah.
got to do some stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice to have a book that has futurism that isn't necessarily dark edged, because there are quite a few in that area. It's nice to have hear about one that's got a message of hope,
yeah.
for
So
sure. Yeah, man. And
Right.
also, I was going to mention real quick. I mean, even you had mentioned, that in your book, there somebody was fleeing a war, and I was thinking too. I mean, that's a topic that a lot of discussions are going on because, like, for instance, with UAVs and drones and things like that, they're developing them to be AI driven, where they make their own determinations of targets on a battlefield, and the AI will decide, what is an enemy
Instead of
target,
human.
and they're
Hmm.
developing armored vehicles that are based, like up to the caliber of like tanks and things like that are completely automated and don't have crews and human crews in them. And I mean that's happening right now. I mean they're shifting to some of those some of that kind of tech right now on and I think it's been accelerated a bit with this Russia Ukraine war because that's used drones quite a bit, and
Yeah.
so even in warfare and so forth, I mean, you have some interesting questions with some of the AI aspects and automation and robotics.
Stephen, you sounded specifically to be interested in like military tactics and
That
tech,
too,
right?
yeah, that too, yeah. I mean,
Yes.
Holly can tell you, I look at all this stuff. I mean, the
Okay,
He
social
looks at
political
all
aspects,
the
the
angles,
military
yes,
aspects,
and writes
the
about it. Yes, he does.
how it
okay.
affects
So
maybe
I
religion,
will
like
I will say
consciousness and
that
religion. That's a whole
I
discussion too. Like how will it affect even faith, religion? When you get into consciousness and intelligent robots and
Aha.
things like that,
I have
religion
that in
gets
there
right
too.
into
Yes.
There's a
so
scene in
yeah.
in Saudi Arabia. There's a scene in the Maldives. Okay, but back to the
Yeah.
war thing. In my first book, Unfettered Journey, there is a very high tech war at the last quarter of the book in that, which I did a lot of
Mhm.
research on. But this book, you'll love this, Stephen. It starts with in 2033 with
Mhm.
that, and I think you're going to particularly love Everett. Talking
Yeah.
about that, you and he could have a conversation.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, it's a baby because I'm fascinated with all aspects of what you're talking about. I mean, yeah, because there's so much social, religion. I mean, economic, military, tech. Just daily tech and how it
Yes.
affects the
Do
economy.
you touch on the
Yeah.
religious aspect of it, like AI developing like their own emotion, soul? Um, do you touch on that, or is that
So
for later on down the road?
that's actually in Unfettered Journey because,
Okay.
by the way, it won 14 book awards. One was for spiritual fiction, actually. So you
Nice.
know,
Nice.
Okay.
yeah, I mean, because that as I said, that book deals with how do we find meaning and purpose in your lives when you don't have a job, right? And how do you what
Right.
do you do?
Right.
And so
Right.
how does that work? And so that book deals with with the spiritual element quite deeply, actually. So yeah.
Well, you've sold me. I'm definitely going to be picking up a couple of your books.
Well, great. Well, so
Absolutely.
anyone can, it's
Yes.
out on Amazon. It's through
Mhm.
Ingram Sparks. You can get it through the bookstores. Just if you walk into your favorite bookstore, just ask the guy and they can pull it up on the terminal. And it's anywhere you buy books. You can find my website is GaryFBengier.com. That's GaryFBengier.com. And
Mhm.
then I'm on all the social media too, so you can find it all those places. So
Well, I can tell you, Gary F. Bengier is definitely on my radar now for certain. Really,
So,
I have just had such a blast. Yeah, go ahead, Holly.
well, I was going to ask. So, what do you hope readers take away from your books? Is it a warning? Is it a comfort? Is it a be cautious? I mean, what are you hoping that they're taking away from reading these?
well, I'm really hoping that what happens is it focuses people on these problems, and we can have a conversation about them, and then we can focus and solve them. I'll say I'll point back to the glossary where it's actually here are the big problems. And I list them and they're in the book. And then and I also say back there's a note that says the scenarios portrayed in this book are not necessarily all the best. They're more, some of them are a warning of what to watch out for in the way they're framed. So
Right.
and the last thing I'll say on that is I attend the Santa Fe Institute. I've been on the board there for 20 years. That is complexity science. Science. The world is basically nonlinear. A couple of years
Mhm.
ago, we were merrily going along, and then Putin invaded Ukraine. Who saw that coming? No one. So,
No, no.
yeah. And so, I think that all of our predictions will be wrong because the world is nonlinear. But I'm hopeful that if you get the longer term trends, right, and you figure out what are the things that are most important, then we can actually solve some things. So my hope is that we have a conversation about these particular problems, which I think, arguably are the top ones to worry about, and let's just solve them and get it done.
That's right.
That's it. Be
One
smart.
one
You
century,
know,
one family, and rising to challenges. Let's get it done. Absolutely.
that's it. That's it. Not
Yeah,
arguing,
absolutely.
having a conversation. And I love
Yeah.
how you bring that up because
Yeah.
in the political world right now, it's hard for a lot of people to have conversations without getting angry and lashing
Yeah.
out, and they're not listening. You have to listen to other points of view. Whether you agree with them or not, you
Mhm.
have to listen to them and see where other people are coming from. You don't have
Mhm.
to agree with what they like or what they don't like or what they support or not, but you have to listen
Yeah.
because as humans we are a community animal, right? We are not good on our own. We are good in groups. We're good, we
Social.
need each
Yeah, we're
other.
social
We are
creatures. Yeah,
social beings. We
social
are
beings.
social
Yeah,
creatures,
not meant to be
and that's the
isolated.
only
Yeah.
way we are going to, keep the AI at bay and use it for good things and not all the bad things. And
Hopefully.
and that's one last question. I want to get this in is how do you think it's going to change the family dynamic? Because here's my thought. If you've got the robot doing, in the future, I'm talking down the road here.
Uh-huh.
If you've got a robot or AI doing all the cooking, all the dishes, all the cleaning, all the lawn work, all the mechanic work, things that were normally gender related, but that's
Hmm.
blending now, which is good because, well, I love to, tinker with things and work on cars and do whatnot. So that doesn't bother me. Steven knows that. He does not like all that. I like doing handyman stuff.
Yep,
That's
she's
just
she's good at
yeah, I'm a
that.
tomboy, and I always will be. But that's my thing, and I love that. But how do you see it changing the family dynamic?
Well, boy, this is going to be different. If you think about 100 years in the future, did anyone see that TV show called The Gilded Age?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yes, sir, I
okay.
have, and I
So,
love it.
okay, and I'm waiting for the next season. Yeah. So, you think about
Yes, sir.
they're about as far in the past as I'm talking about in the future, and in one hand, all the tech is different. They worry about horse carts
Speed.
and carriages, but the people are fundamentally the same. So, it's going to be a mix, actually, Holly. I think the roles will change. I'm hoping that I'm hoping that we'll have a more fair society, and that is absolutely one of the themes of both books, particularly Unfettered Journey. So yeah.
Mhm.
So, do you
Well,
see people actually getting lazier and heavier and more unmobile because they're not active, and then our society just crumbles because of that. You're going to have people dying at
Oh no,
50 years old.
that's Wally. No, no,
yeah,
actually,
Exactly, it is
no,
that's what I
no,
was thinking.
Wally.
That's what I
no,
was
no,
thinking.
no. I've got. Actually, you've got this medicine, Slim Drip. You take it. Everyone's. Actually, it turns out everyone is like slim and beautiful. They love it. Hey, I want to be there now, right? So,
Yeah, me too. Me too.
yeah. No, actually, one of the some of the futurists. I mean, I think this is crazy stuff because again, in philosophy of mind, I'm thinking about this, and oh my God, we're going to upload our brains, right? Come on,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
never
No.
going to happen.
No.
We're going to merge our thinking with the robots. It's in some kind of crazy thing. But come on, the speed of our chips versus the chemical speed of our brain thoughts are ridiculously different. This is not going to
Mhm.
happen.
I
And
agree. I
so
agree.
actually, part of what I do in Unfeathered Journey is I explore that fact that no, even though we've got implants of some sort. There's a conversation about, well, cyborgs. They're not really cyborgs. Yeah, just because you accidentally get your leg chopped off, there the technology will kind of replace it. Kind of not so bad. So no, but
Right.
but we are fundamentally the way we are. We're all humans, and we'll have the same kind of social reactions and the same kind of needs and wants and desires. So that's my view, anyway.
Yep. I see some things like Neuralink's tech, I think, coming into play a little bit more, those brain implants like you talked about that, people can, especially like
Using it
the
for good. That's what I
paraplegics
said.
and all
AI.
can do more,
Yeah,
with that and, be able to,
Well, okay, so let me just attack that one. That's good. So in
please.
Unfettered Journey, so we heard about Neuralink and we've seen all that stuff.
Yes.
Okay, but by the way, did you know that if you actually plant something in the brain where the brain is ridiculously resistant to that, it forms
Mhm.
scar tissue
Yeah,
anytime you stick something there? It's like
I did know
really
that. I did
hard.
know that.
It's very
Yeah.
hard. So in Unfettered Journey, the character Joe, he's early in the book, he gets on an airplane, and um, and he says he thinks a few words and his AI that's implanted in a little chip um, gets the gist of it because as a child they learned 50 keywords that you could think and practice, and you could then say search for
Mhm.
something. Think that was the extent of it, and the reason he would do it on an airplane is because it was considered socially rude to
Mhm.
speak to it out loud. But the reality was, speaking to AI, like we have Siri, but remember Siri
Yes.
25.0, right? will
Mhm.
will be actually, this is going to happen really fast here. We'll be talking to them because we speak, and the tech can figure that out very easily. It's going to be so much simpler than something implanted. So the implants, I think, will be helpful for people who have injuries and conditions that mean that they
Mhm.
are less mobile, and that will be a godsend for them. But I think the vast majority of people will not see this. I think there's a prediction in the back in the glossary section of my of Journey to 2125 where I'm sort of a naysayer on some of these technologies, and I think that's one. It's because I don't think it's not going to be very um, available out there, but no one's going to use it, right? It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Not prevalent.
Right.
Yeah,
that
it'll be
that
interesting to see how it goes. Yeah,
that and
definitely.
flying cars.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
well, that's it. When we were children, they said, "Oh, we're going to be flying by, this time." And this, well, we still don't have flying cars. We're still driving on
Yes.
pavement. And there's been advances in medicine. I was a nurse for over 20 years, and I've seen so many advancement in the medical field that it's just mind-boggling now how quick that's went.
Okay,
But
yeah, Holly, you have to tell you. One of my characters is a nurse, and you'll have to tell me how cool this is in 2050. Yeah, and
well,
and, and then on Flying Cars, there is a sort of a wedding scene where that plays in. But yeah, this is kind of fun. Yeah, yeah. Think about this stuff.
nice. Because see, when we were children, we always pictured like the Jetsons, right? We're going to be
Yes.
living like the Jetsons when we're, 30 and 40 years old. That's not happened, but my gosh, we've come so far in other things. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
it's
Well, there is
amazingly
good news
fast.
because, like the Road Warrior franchise was already supposed to be
Yes,
taking place by now in our timeline. At least we're not there either, so
Yes.
that's
Right.
good.
Right. Right. That's
The
right.
Mad Max world, yeah.
And do you,
So,
do you either of you know historically where the Mad Max world came from? This is interesting. Do you know
Stephen,
this?
you should
where,
know this.
oh God, I should know this.
Okay, I'll tell you
You
what.
should.
Here's I may not be correct, but here's what I believe. There's a book called On the Beach. Do you know that book?
I know of
No.
it, yes,
Okay,
but I
so
have
this
not
is
read
a
it.
famous book from the 60s, and it dealt when we were worried about mutually assured destruction with
Mhm.
us and the Soviets, the US and the Soviets.
Right.
And this
Okay,
book takes
okay.
place in Australia, and the
Hmm.
theme is basically it's a nuclear holocaust and it's the end of the world, and the cloud of radiation is coming down to Australia, and the main character is on a beach when it ends, and I won't give you the rest of it. But before that happens, because suddenly everyone in Australia that's left realizes it's the end, what they do is they take all the available petrol and they have this crazy race where they just kill each other and they crash into the cars. They don't give a damn because they're all going to die anyway. And so that scene where it's just this, destruction because it doesn't matter. I think that was the Mad Max stuff.
Fueled Mad Max. That is cool.
Yeah.
That's
Out in the outback.
fascinating
Yeah.
take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we have a remark from the chat room. Our good friend D.L. Hearn, uh, lovely called the Moon. We love Moon. Um, he says, so we're thinking about the movie Her, which I know you've seen it, Gary.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. What do you think about that? How people are going to become actually emotionally attached to AI, not even a robot, but AI itself, because well, we got Chat GPT and all that. What do you think the implications of that's going to be?
Well, okay, I'll give you just two hints for the for all the listeners here. One is in Unfettered Journey. There's this scene where the character walks. He's been depressed, totally depressed by something, and he walks into this bar, and there's a bar bot across the bar from him. But at that point, she's marked with a tattoo thing around her neck, so that you could tell that she's a robot and not a human, right?
Okay.
And then he's wondering if she's a love bot rather than just a bar bot. So there's that.
Uh-huh.
In Journey to 2125, there is I just love this character. There is an AI, and her name is Princess Kadake.
Okay.
And the name comes from the fact, and you can see this in the glossary, there was a Kadakis that were leaders of the ancient kingdom of Nubia in East Central Africa.
Mhm.
And there are even some stories, hard to say if there are any tied to reality, of the Kadaki family. There's a Queen Kadaki, there's maybe a Princess Kadaki, and Alexander the Great came into Africa to invade. And when he got down to their borders, Princess Kadaki rode out on her war elephants at the head of her army, standing on her two war elephants. And Alexander the Great took a look at her and decided not to find someone easier, and he went off and attacked Egypt. So that's
Nice.
like I said, I like sort of kick butt women characters. There's Princess Kadaki. Well, you'll love her
Nice.
as an AI in the book. So
Nice. Well, thank you for staying with us a few extra minutes, because this is a topic that you can tell I love it, and we certainly could
That's
talk
been
for hours
fascinating.
about it, and and I love reading, and I definitely am going to be picking up your books to read them for sure. This has
well,
been
thank you,
great.
and I just love to have you tell your friends. Let's get it out there. I just want to get these ideas out, and I really appreciate everyone listening. And both of you, it's been really great talking to you all. Thanks so much.
We'll do our
You
part,
too,
and
Gary. Don't be a
thank you.
stranger.
Yeah, don't be a stranger, and definitely come back, and we can definitely have you back and explore just certain areas of this, because I mean, obviously tonight was a broad.
Yeah.
We wanted to cover the book, and then
We
also
could tune
cover
in on the philosophy,
yeah,
tune in on the tech. I mean,
yeah. There's a
we
lot.
could have whole talks about
It's
just
hard to
that.
pack all of this in an hour, so
Ooh,
Right.
yeah.
Well, thank you both so much. It's really been
you.
been a fun for me too. I really enjoyed that. So
Thank you, Gary. And Holly, I'll let you round things out, but you're welcome back anytime, Gary. And
okay,
best of
thanks.
wishes on the new book.
Goodbye.
Goodbye,
Take care.
Gary. Good night, hon. Yes, join us next Wednesday on Podbeam for another great guest, another great talk at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can enjoy this wonderful show in its full broadcast tomorrow on all your favorite podcast platforms such as Spotify, Amazon, iTunes, etc. Have a great night and be creative for the next of the week. We will talk to you next Wednesday. Good night, all.